So I just really want to talk about the Jussie Smollett case. I'm not going to talk a lot about it. I think this is my first time posting. So I'm going to post a little bit every single day. And, just to let you know my thoughts on it. I can't stop talking about Jussie Smollett because there's so many new twists and turns with this case. And I think that it's the most awesome story that I've never heard, that I can't believe that it's like ear vomit. I can't believe what's coming in my ears, and I'm not sure how to throw it up, Long story short, I had never heard of Jussie Smollett. I think that would be very surprising to Jussie Smollett because Jussie Smollett apparently, sees himself as just as famous as Terrence Howard and Taraji, who plays Cookie, and Lee Daniels. I mean, this guy, from what I'm reading about him, he's some kind of sociopath, psychopath. And so, I'm not very surprised at the end of the day when you're dealing with these kinds of people, how they go about doing certain things. But I just really wanted to begin with the beginning because it's just a shocking story. And when you hear Harvey Levin and you hear all these judges and lawyers saying that they've never heard a story like this in the history of the American justice system, my ears are popped up. And even though I'm trying to work, it's kind of a difficult thing to do. So just really quickly, who is Jussie Smollett? Well, I'll tell you who Jussie Smollett thinks he is. According to Jussie Smollett, he sees himself as quite an extraordinary human being. He has listed himself as he sees himself as an actor, and I would most definitely say that he is. As an activist, for what? I'm not exactly sure. As a singer, yes, he can sing. As a director, I think that he's most definitely a showman. Also, he's a man who leads with blackness. And, that's an interesting statement unto itself. He is a fascinating guy for many reasons. The first thing that I was fascinated about when it came to Jussie Smollett was his goddamn name. What is a Jussie? I had never heard of a Jussie. I just didn't know. I thought it was a weird name. And I never heard of a Smollett before. And I thought maybe I'm someone that reads a lot into names. It's kind of like this, it's a hobby of mine. And I was like, is there perhaps something in the name? Not that I'm a psychic, but is there something in that name that might have foreshadowed this moment in our present time and in American history? Is it possible? So I say yes. Apparently, they could have named him Jesse. But Jesse, anybody could be like a Jesse. Like Jesse from Full House. That's just a dad who plays music, But a Jesse is a whole other level of human. When his parents named him Jesse, Jussie has it stands for justice. It stands for fairness. And a Jussie is considered a saint in the Roman Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the Eastern Orthodox churches. It's a man who has been martyred. And it's, which is about right. I think that's how Jussie sees himself. I think that's why Jussie could do this, because he's not just like us. He's the patron saint of what the fuck. And therefore, he has brought his sainthood and his teachings to all of us, as only a Jussie would. Because I don't think a Jussie would, but when you're a Jussie, you're all kinds of special. And we should thank his parents for this amazing name. They should have called him Jesus, but no, he's a Jussie. Also, just for humor, I wondered, if a Smollett has a meaning, because I've never heard of a Smollett. It actually means small head. So he's the patron saint of very small heads. And right now, currently, as we speak, he's going up against Donald Trump, who's the patron saint of very, very, very big heads, huge heads, who thinks hugely. So I don't know. I don't think that, I think that when you are righteous and you see yourself as a patron saint of what the fuck, then you're going to do what the fuck. And as Jussie did, and as he should, as only a Jussie Smollett could. So long story short, what I want to say about Jussie Smollett, he will be best remembered for a man who committed the greatest hate crime against himself. There's so much to say about him. I want to really end this really briefly because before I get into the story, I just really want to get into some of my thoughts into all of this. I would say that I know of Empire. Obviously, it's a hit show and everybody loves it. But I've never watched one episode of this show. I did know that Terrence Howard is in this show. because Terrence Howard, it's Terrence Howard. He's just like the most fabulous. He's Terrence Howard. And I knew that Tariji was in this show. I knew, and she's everywhere, and I know that I know her better. I mean, she's Cookie, and everybody knows that's Cookie. But I also know a lot about Empire because of Monique. Because Monique was supposed to be given the role as Cookie. But Monique didn't get the role in Empire because she was considered too difficult in Hollywood. So I know a lot about what's going on in Hollywood because Monique can't stop talking about the role she doesn't get and who's responsible for it. And there are 3 people that are responsible for the demise of her career, although she now has a show in Vegas that I'm not sure who is seeing exactly. But the demise of her career was really because of Oprah Winfrey. If you can listen to her, Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels. It wasn't Tariji, but it was Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and of course Tyler Perry. So I always know if you're an important person in show business, then I'll know about it because Monique will bring up your name with respect to what she has or hasn't accomplished as of today. So I was very familiar with Empire because of how Lee Daniels had wronged Monique again, and how this role, Cookie, was her role to have. And, and that how really Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey just cannot stop, putting an end to this woman's career. But she moves on. So I knew about Empire because of Monique. And although I can't see anything Monique does because she hasn't done anything other than complain about how Netflix and Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels is responsible for her career, is the end of her career. I find her enormously entertaining. The fact that she's just so bold with what comes out of her mouth is just she's disruptive and she's amazing. So I most definitely know that Jussie Smollett is no one, because if he was someone, she'd have an issue with him. And anyone who's anyone it has an issue with her. So therefore, who is Jussie Smollett? If Monique doesn't have an issue with you, there's a problem. So and not even once has Jussie Smollett's name rolled off the tip of her tongue, and she's got something to say about everybody. So that's what I would say about Monique. So I was very aware of this show, and I know that everybody loves cooking and everybody loves the show. I had no idea who this Jussie Smollett was until first I had seen, I think, JWoww on Twitter had posted that, she was deeply sorry, and she felt her sincere sympathies went out to, and it was trending on Twitter about this hate crime that happened to Jussie Smollett. Once again, I never took the time to meditate on who this Jussie Smollett was and what had gone on. But not long after, there was and then I saw that he was so his name kept popping up, but I have to really meditate on the guy and take a lot of time to think about him, and I just didn't know what to make out of it, and I didn't take enough time with it. But then the next thing that was trending was that, this might all be a ruse. And I think it's absolutely fascinating as to where, the story started in January. And then February was very interesting because of the nonsense of Jussie Smollett. Cardi B had officially canceled Black History Month. And now we're in March, and we're at the next level here where, Donald Trump is literally on this guy's ass. And, and well-deserved Jussie Smollett as an actor, activist, and a man that leads the way you lead. I think, this level of acting, directing, producing is most definitely worthy of the attention of Donald Trump. So I will sign back in tomorrow with the rest of this story, but I just wanted to start with it today. So signing off, and thank you.